All right, welcome back to another Smart Architect tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to move a step further. If you have not set up the Revit project location, please see the link in the description box so that you can set that up. But in this tutorial, we're going to take a look at the Revit sun path, and we're going to take a look at the sun settings and get into the sun study a little bit. So let's get started. In this 3D Axon view that I have here, I'm just going to come over here, down here, click on my sun settings. So first, let's turn on the path just so that you can see it. And you'll see Revit's going to give us a dialog box. The sun will not display because it's it's relative to view selected in sun settings. So I can click on this, but you'll see this is why you have to have that Revit project location set up, because I'm going to click on use with the specified project location. So now Revit will give us the sun path here, and you can see that, and that's all dependent, like I said, when we click on the sun settings in this same menu, you'll see that by default it was set to lighting, but now it has changed to still image so that we can see the sun path and deal with that. So this would allow us to take a look at, for example, if I click on the summer solstice and click apply, you'll see that that's one sun shade study. If I click on the winter solstice and click apply, you'll see that I now have deeper shadows in the front of my building, with this being that northern face. So this is important because many times in the winter I'll have deeper shadows in what we're creating to be a new entrance into this vestibule and new sanctuary space that they're doing additions for this particular client. So it's important in my mind as designers to make sure that we study these aspects. And so let me click OK once. But it's important to study this because, you know, this means that in the wintertime in the Pennsylvania area where we're going to have more snow, we are going to need, it's going to be important to take a look at, hey, how does that affect what we're creating as a new front entrance? Initially, I know this church entrance was here because this was a very small congregation, but as they're expanding, we're changing some things, and it's important to be able to study this. So let's look at the other couple features here that are toggles in this Revit sun path study. So you'll see if I wanted to look at the sun, let's say they start church at 9 a.m. So I'll just change this to 9 a.m. here, and I'll just hit enter, and you'll see I can see exactly how that affects things at 9 a.m. So this is about maybe the time that they'll be entering, and I can change and take a look at 5 p.m. and I can see where those shadows are moving by afternoon and evening based on both the true Revit north in our project. So I want to be able to change the date, and this is winter solstice, so this is really our worst case scenario for the sun. Let's go ahead and look at the summer solstice, which is going to be in June, and I'm going to hit OK. And so you'll see that we have virtually no shade and shadow on that front entrance during that summer solstice. And let's take a look at the morning again. I just want to see both of these. And you'll see we have some shadows here. So these are more accurate shade and shadow representations based on that Revit project location that is now accurate. So this is important, and I'm going to just switch to another view, and I want to remind you. So here's my perspective, and I don't have the shade and shadow on, but if I click and turn that on here, let's take a look at the shade and shadow sun settings in this view, because each view is going to have its own sun settings. So you can see, although we set that up in the 3D view, in this view, it's still set by default to lighting. So that's very important. Each one of your perspective views will need to be modified by the Revit sun settings view here. So I'm going to change this as well to a single solar study, and you'll see the location is toggled for us, and I can change the date and time like we did with the sun path here right in the menu and click apply and see it. But one of the other features I want to make sure that we are aware of is by default, Revit is going to right now put my shade and shadow on on whatever level is specified here. But I want to uncheck this so that the shade and shadow falls accurately, since I do have a topo surface in this project already. I want to make sure that my shade and shadow falls directly on that. So by unchecking that box, this is where it falls, exactly where it falls in my project. So you can see exactly where things are. So roughly, let's say by noon, I can see the shadow and I can see where things are going. By 2 or 3 p.m., I can see the sun changing in my project. So this is very important. By late evening, you can see that the sun is, as the sun changes position, the shadow is being removed, even though we're headed into the evening. So these are just important things, I think, for us to know. That allows us in other projects to be able to deal with times where we might want to consider things like light shelves, depending on how the sun accurately interacts with our building. So I think as we continue to get better at our Revit skills and have a better understanding of BIM has the ability to also feed us information as designers that we want to react to as well throughout the course of our projects. I hope this Revit tutorial has been helpful for you. Please remember to subscribe for more tutorials, and there will be a link in the description box for both project location as well as setting up that true north, because you can see that that's a very important tutorial to put in place so that you can make sure that this Revit sun path is accurately modified to fit your project location. Thanks again for watching for this Smart Architect tutorial. Leave any comments or questions you have on this as we go along. Thanks a lot.